Here we go.
Okay,
Excellent.
well, yeah, we're super excited to see you all here today, and super grateful for the folks that wanted to watch a video about Google Keep on their own time. So thanks for joining us in the future. My name is Bailey Alberg. I am a literacies coordinator here at Prairie Island School. I support teachers K-12 in everything, basically, super small division. So I have many, many hats, and one of them is being the Google wizard. So I'm super excited to join you all today to talk Google Keep. And I'm here with Darren. Yay!
Awesome. I bet you must get all the best emails. This goes from Power School to I can't find my Google Drive to And I'm Darren. I work for Black Gold School Division. I make the Engaging Students website and all the resources on it. If you're familiar with that site, and if not, why don't you go there? Because I got lots of stuff on AI and computer science for elementary and everything else that Aaron doesn't have time to do. I do that stuff. And like you, I'm in Amiskwaciwâskagen, which is Edmonton, Treaty 6 territory, home of the, Dene, Nakota Sioux, Métis, Cree, Blackfoot. And I'm always grateful and acknowledge the stewards of the land that were here before us and continue to be the stewards of the land and knowledge keepers in our territory. So Treaty 6. And we are presenting on behalf of Logix Academy, which it's through a myriad of paths that took us into Logix Academy from all sorts of places in the past. And there's about 70 consultants like me and like Bailey who have day jobs and then present our expertise with Logix Academy, helping teachers, because most of us work as teachers or with teachers and students all day long. So what we do tends to be fairly relevant, and we've done it this week. And this is brought to you in part with Google and some Google funding through our TIPS team. And so thanks to the TIPS team, Bernice and Aaron and Karen and Blythe and Will and...
That's it now.
I think that's it.
We're smaller than we used to be.
Yeah, there you go. So thanks to the TIPS team for organizing and running things. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, super excited. Thank you all. Thanks, Aaron. I also have to thank Mike, my angel Mike, who shared these Google Keep slides with us. When I heard I was presenting on Google Keep, I was looking at Mike's slides for inspiration, and then I was like, Mike's slides are the best slides. Can I have your slides? And he shared them with me. So we have to thank Mike Philippetti. He's out in Manitoba, and we just adore him and his generosity. Okay, are you ready? Okay. We are doing lots of hands-on learning today. So while I'm talking and walking us through what we have on tap today, I would love it if you could download the Keep app on your phone and also open the website keep.google.com. As you'll learn, there's lots of cool in-betweeny stuff to happen between the two. So download that Keep app and we'll explore it together. Lots on the go today. We're going to kind of go through Google Keep's features. Darren, I just want to remind you that you're and whenever I'm missing something, please and thank you.
I would never jump in. Keep is probably the one app that's the most useful that you're not using. Yeah. Like I use it all the time. I use it to write songs. I use it for voice notes. I use it to remind myself of things when I'm going places. I use it for when I'm listening to a podcast and I just use my voice to text and get some weird text. I don't know what they mean later on. If I hear an artist on the radio that I like, I throw it in Keep. It's in everything, but we don't really recognize it. It's on the side of Drive, on the side of Docs, on the side of Calendar, on the side of, and Bailey's going to show all that.
Well, I'm just going to show you sticky note culture is alive and well in this office.
How dare you?
And I still use Keep every single day. And so many of my Keep notes are just pictures of sticky notes. So I will show you some really cool things. It's super useful. I'm really excited to have you all here to share with you. So we're going to go over how to
doing that. I stop myself. I'll be writing on a sticky note or a pad of paper. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm never going to look at this paper again. Anyway, had a coffee.
I take a picture of it. So we're going to start from the beginning, how to create a note, make it pretty, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about lists on Google Keep. And the coolest thing ever is that we can share lists. So I don't know if you work closely with somebody, perhaps you have a partner that you work closely with on grocery shopping, but you can share lists just like you can share everything in Google. So it's a super fun Fun isn't the word. It's a really great productivity tool that is sometimes fun. We're going to show you how to do meeting agenda and copy it into a Google Doc. You can create voice notes, you can take pictures and convert the text into grabbable text, and you can search the archive. There's 2 agenda slides in this slide deck because that's how much we're going to go today. We're going to talk about custom headers. We're going to add notes to keep from email, and just a couple user tools like archiving. So hopefully that's something that is useful to you. I would really love if you share with me in the chat if you are like sticky note culture acolyte like I am. I love sticky notes. Or if you like, I need to stop carrying my day planner around every day. I'm going to start using Google Keep. What's your status with Keep? Are you used to it? I'm also curious, in my last session this morning, I had a couple EAs, so I'm curious what your role is. Are you a teacher? Are you an EA? I'd love to hear from you. You have to be careful with Darren and I because we can talk for a whole hour. So if you don't add things to sidetrack us here, it's going to turn into a Darren and Bailey hour. Awesome. Emma, totally. Everybody forgets about Keep, but I'll show you how you can remember that it's there. Thanks for sharing, Emma. All right. Okay. So just kind of like let's do the like 30,000 feet overview, just so we kind of all have the same idea of what Google Keep is. Essentially, the talk of sticky notes, Google Keep is Google's sticky note feature. It's got all of the beautiful sort of functionality, efficiency features that all the Google tools do. So it syncs across all your devices if you're logged into your workplace account or your personal account. You can share, like I said, you can share and collaborate on notes with others. You can remind yourself based on time or location. So I know I have an iPhone and I use the Remind app, but the reminder time is never good for me, but Google Keep reminders are really good for me. You can transcribe voice notes, which I have a lot of windshield time in my work. I'm between schools constantly, and texting and driving is bad. So Google Keep gets a lot of my garbled voice notes about my dreams and visions I get as I drive. So then I don't have to phone my friends like Darren and say, hey, I've been thinking about this wild idea. Will you please listen to me? I can just talk to Google Keep. I know all of us have like a professional text or, a piece of student writing that we're like, oh, I need that written down somewhere. Google Keep can do that. We'll talk about that. The coolest thing ever, like honestly, these are just the sticky notes that are on my desk within hand's reach. The coolest thing is that you can search your Keep archive. So I keep my physical sticky notes in my daily journal, but I also have access to all of my Google Keep archive. So I can search just like I search in Google Drive, just like a Google search basically of all my thinking. It's pretty cool way back to find your old Keep notes. Yeah, you can convert them right into Google Docs. So if you need a little bit more functionality, they go right into Google Docs without any copy and pasting, and you can drag and drop. So are you ready? I've learned that if enough of us send thumbs ups in the Google Meet, they explode like a beautiful thumbs up firework.
I thought it was a long press.
Give me a thumbs up if you are ready to go. It's a long press. Oh, it's a long press. Oh, yay. Thumbs up for Google Keep. Okay. Darren is spamming it, so it looks like there's more people thumbsing up.
Trying to figure it out. I also use it for all my usernames for all my bills and all the things where I don't remember the username I used.
Yeah.
Then a reminder of which password I used.
Totally. That's exactly right. Okay. So let's actually go to Keep. So keep.google.com is where you'll find it. This is what it looks like. Its beauty is really in its simplicity, and you're going to notice that this walkthrough of features is incredibly quick because there's not a lot of overload of features here. Actually, it's quite a beautiful thing. So on the left-hand side, we have This is common across almost all of Google's tools now, is just kind of the overview of stuff you have available. So I can have notes, I can have reminders. These three things are tags or labels. We'll talk a little bit about them when we dig in. And then I can edit labels there. My archive, with all of my archive notes. So rather than deleting notes, it's good to archive them because then they sit so you can find them later. I can collapse this menu and just choose this. And then I have more screen space for all of my notes. You can search just like this. And just like in Google Drive, you can focus your search in. So I'm looking for things with lists. I'm looking for keep notes with images. You can focus in your search that way. Makes it nice to find more specific results rather than, you know, if I were to do all of my tags with literacy, not as many as I expected, but quite a few. But if I wanted just image ones with literacy, there might not be any. Yeah, there's none, but that's okay. We'll add one to make it work. Okay, this box right here is where you add a note, and it's just a click. Then you get a whole bunch of features, and we'll go through these as we make a note together. The refresh button is an important one here because I can update notes on my phone, and they'll be immediately available on the website. So the refresh button is there so that if you take a picture, say, on the Keep app on your phone, you can choose that refresh button to see all of them. This bar changes them to a list, so it's just like a never-ending scroll. And this one is a tile. Settings are simple. Like I'm telling you, Keep is beautifully simple, where you can have a dark mode or a light mode. And then these are just all of your usual Google tools. Darren, anything to add?
No, just playing. I use it all the time for all the things, and even some work-related things, but especially the shared grocery lists, songwriting, set lists with my band, taking pictures and converting to text, grabbing text really quickly. The voice notes I love probably the most, it transcribes them. And just that it exists everywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah, why don't we spend some time in the chat right now? Actually, we have a small enough group. If you want to unmute, it might be a little chaotic if two people are muted at once. Just keep in mind that the session's recorded. What would you use this for professionally and personally? So beyond sticky note culture, which we love, what would be the added benefit of having the ability to share, to grab text? Like, where do you think this would fit into your world? Mostly I'm asking you this so you can kind of grab on that one thing, like, okay, I need my packing list for my teenager. We need to work together on it, and then I don't want to think about it again. So that can be in their Keep, maybe. A checklist of things to do at work, totally, Emma. To-do lists, yes. My to-do lists have become to-do pages. A shared list for a team. Project checklist. Oh, Darren, good idea. Project checklists. We can set a reminder. I'll show you how to do that, Cindy.
Yeah.
One thing we've been working on here is just workflows. We're onboarding a whole bunch of people in our division right now, and there's a whole bunch of workflows that existed in somebody's brain and kind of now need to move somewhere that's not that person's brain. So sharing workflows. What do I do in the morning in this building? What do I do to get ready for the football game? Go Hawks, semifinals on Friday.
Really, that's one of the actual best things I've seen it in there's one of our office admin assistants who uses it for onboarding new staff or for whatever. And she's got these amazing keep lists that I made copies of. So she has the principal and the vice principal and her shared on it. And so it's like, who's given them the passwords for this? Who's given them the class list? Who's got their Power School stuff? Who's got the binder that they're still giving them? I don't know.
Exactly.
Binder
Yeah, we'll show you the checklist feature, which then makes sharing tasks so much easier, and we'll show you how that works. Yeah. Okay. Oh, questions and student that I have to look up later. Oh, I want to go to Cindy's classroom. All right. Are you ready to create a note? Okay. To create a note, you just press take a note. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And you can title your note. We teach our students that it's really good digital citizenship style to title your note. So one thing that I always had going when I had a classroom is I had like a big ideas note. And you can see I have one of PD ideas now, but my big ideas note was the like, you know, when you're like in the middle of something and you're like, I have to change this for next year. I'm going to write it on a sticky note that gets lost, or I'm going to put it in my Keep. So my big ideas lived in my Google Keep for a long time. So let's just start like kind of a big ideas. And I am actually going to pin this note because I want this note to live at the top of my Google Keep so that I can see it often. So I remember that it's there. And that is this pin button right here. And all that does is it, think of it as like pinning it to your bulletin board beside your desk. It just keeps it at the top of your sheet. Keeps it at the top of your Keep. It keeps you at the top of your view. So I have these two pinned notes for myself, and then down the bottom are all the rest of my notes that don't have pins on them. I could pin them to add them to the top, but I do not want to have it pinned, so I can unpin it. Okay, my big ideas note. So you see I left it, and now it's living right here. To edit it now, I can just click on it, and it popped up again. The first big idea I want to think about is I want to work on an onboarding for students onto Google Classroom. That's something as a workflow that I need to think about for next year. I'm going to keep working on it. Darren, do you have a big idea to add to my big idea list? Something you're working on?
Oh man, my to-do list is quite extensive. Just make a project for every single outcome for K-6 ELAL, math.
Super small thing to do. How about, let's say, photo books for picture books, not photo books. Picture books for curriculum. And I chose that curriculum because I like calling it the Pew curriculum, and you'll never change my mind. Okay, so that's it. Literally, I've just made a beautiful little note, and it's living right there. Now, we can make this much prettier. I'm a minimalist because I like to have just plain white sticky notes, but if you like a little color, you can update your colors by choosing this little color palette option. Now, you might think, I have the tropical Post-its, that's all I need. No. Maybe what you need is a pencil in the background. Oh, with some colors, or maybe you're updating your packing list. So you want to have a pool in the background of your sticky note. There's all these like fun little themes that make your sticky note stick out and catch your eye when you're cruising your Google Keep. Now,
I do like color. I cannot get behind that. I can't get behind that. No. Is it just me?
I think it's just Darren. Everybody make fun of Darren in the chat for his bad idea. Just kidding. It's I like it because it sticks out. So if I had if I use my personal account or my PLRD account for my personal notes, I would probably have my grocery lists have like there is a groceries background, just so that it stuck out visually. So I didn't have to like, yeah. So that is how to choose color. One more thing to show you, and then I'd like you to experiment with making one. These 3 dots, we call them Timbits here on the Canadian Googler team. These 3 dots or Timbits have this add label button. Now, the labels are helpful for if you're keeping notes for everything, because you can make sort of like a little folder of sticky notes that then you can kind of file them away in the proper place. So everything looks the same, except there's a little tag, groceries, right there at the bottom. And I made a new label. I now have that label option where all of my sticky notes that are tagged with groceries will live in that one place. So you can see I have a literacy label that I've been working on that will have all of them there. My English Language Arts Council stuff, apparently it doesn't have any. I don't know why. Probably because it's on my work account. And then all of my notes live in that one space. So that's a way to keep yourself a little bit more organized.
Bailey, you're gonna think I'm making this up, but when I go shopping, my oldest is shared on my Google Keep Note, but my youngest child is in charge of the Keep Note when we go grocery shopping.
Oh,
So
that's fun. Yeah, I like it. That's helpful because managing the list and the shopping is around, actually. Okay, let's take 2 minutes. Go to keep.google.com or your fancy new app on your phone. And make a note. Play around with that background. Make a note about the ways you could use Google. Or you can make a note about, the things that you need to remember from your learning today. I have a page in my notebook that's just like my PGP page. But now I'm starting to, now that I've digging into Keep more this year, I'm starting to think maybe I should have a PGP note that I just kind of keep track of my evidence of my professional growth in. Yes, Darren's website is awesome.
That's the best I can do. Actually,
I always like to shout out Ray too. Darren and Ray's website is awesome.
Yeah, been working a lot on AI stuff and computer science stuff, and yeah, it's great. Bailey, you know what the number one tip for when you make a to-do list is? Include all of the things you already accomplished today. Like get up, I put on pants, attended a PD, check, made coffee.
Yeah, what is the?
Get some endorphins going.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That there's a part of your brain that likes checking things off. I don't know if it's dopamine.
Maybe the multi-lobe.
I like it. Okay, my friends, if you are ready to move on and talk lists, join us back in the meet. Send a thumbs up. Send a celebration emoji, and we can keep rocking and rolling.
All right.
Perfect. We are good. Okay. Now, this is just a regular note, which my list brain made into a list. But we can level up our keep note taking here. Let's say keep session working. Let's say keep session jobs. I have one brain cell left and she's really working hard on this today. Okay, I'm going to click on the 3 dots again and I'm going to choose the show checkboxes button. Now, Darren and I were collaborating on building this session. So my first job was to steal slides from Mike. And then my second job was to update screen grabs. There were a few outdated ones because Keep changes often. And then we needed to set up demo of Gmail. Okay, so this is all well and good. But you could accuse me of not being a good collaborator because this list is now just living in my Keep. Darren doesn't know where I am. I don't know where Darren is. When you're working closely with somebody, a big part of managing the job is who's doing what and is it done. So when you are using Google Keep, there's this whole suite of awesomeness that can happen when you add a collaborator onto your Keep. So I'm going to add my friend Darren. And I'm going to save it. So it's super easy. All I do is press that collaborator button and then I type their email in. I can add my personal there and then they get added to the list. And you see they have their cute little pictures there at the bottom, just so that you can remember who it is that's collaborating on the note with you. So if I go back here now, Because I chose that checklist button, checkboxes, I chose show checkboxes. These are now checkable. So, Darren, I stole the slides from Mike, don't worry. So now I check that box, it comes up there. Darren, I'm pretty sure you did the work on screen grabs. Thank you. Darren checked off screen grabs. So I did not do any checking off. That was Darren's work. And it's checked off. And I don't know if you noticed, I can uncheck an item just by clicking on it again. This is Darren's note. He added it. I didn't add it. So Darren can add, oh, I'm remembering we need to do this. I'm going to add it to the list. Oh, I did that. I'm going to check it off. So now between Darren and I working together, we have this beautiful, easy workflow that doesn't involve sending Darren a text and an email on a Slack because he never checks any devices. Hey, have you done that yet? It can be as simple as, yes, I checked it off the Google Keep. We're good to go. And this is where I'm thinking, like, for workflows, for our communication workflow here, you know, I need to have Jen does an edit on it. I need to have Pam does an edit on it. I need to have final approval from Steve on it. So we could just add this to our workflow, like, yep, done, done, done. It's beautiful. So that is the checklist functionality. We could also, let's say I want to do, let's do a meeting agenda for a council meeting we have coming up, Darren. Pretend that Darren and I are on the same council. I'm going to add Darren to this again. And maybe I'll add, 3 or 4 different people, but oh, that's not the right Darren.
Darren, that's cool.
He'll be happy to see that. There we go. Now, go back and add those checkboxes, show checkboxes. Okay, the things we need to discuss at our meeting. So we definitely need to have executive working plan review. That's something we do every time. We need to connect with Pamela about ad. We need to color, definitely. We need to review all colors are unique to grant applications. Because this is a different kind of work, this isn't my work, this is my volunteer work. Something I do just for my own workflow is I just change a different color so that it keeps it separate from my brain, keeps my brain straight. So, have a really nice little agenda going. This is not useful to us though, because it's in Google Keep. And we all know that secretary would really like to see our agenda in a Google Drive file so that she can add the minutes. So I click the 3 dots again. And I know if you've clicked the 3 dots, you've seen this. Copy to Google Docs. Copying to Google Docs shows up in the bottom left-hand corner. And then I choose Open Doc. And as you can see, all of those sticky notes that were right here, all of those points on the sticky notes now live in an agenda. So this is where we can add, fluff out our content a little bit more. Maybe we have secondary secondary bullets to add in. Maybe we have grant 1 and grant 2 to review. That's where we can add a whole bunch of new info. And 1 click. I didn't have to do any copy pasting. Go ahead, Derek.
I was just going to say, this would be a good chance to show the new checklists that are in Docs. If you just select your bullets. I know we're not doing Docs right now, but.
Totally. Okay. These are not checkable.
Yeah.
And some of you are like, I love the checkable option, but it crosses it off. There are new bullet points in Docs. Just if you click up here where the bulleted list menu is.
Right next door.
Oh, right next door. Thank you.
Sorry.
We're right here. I can.
And there's 2 kinds.
I have to highlight them. There's a shark tooth there now. Oh.
Yeah. So one crosses it out. The other one just gives you a check and doesn't cross out your stuff, which is a big deal for me.
I like crossing out.
No.
It feels very final.
How can you be so wrong about something so simple?
So no.
I'm gonna fight you about that. No, don't pass it up.
This session is over. We're never going to stay on the same page. Okay.
It's just funny how people are, eh? Like, I'm like, no, there's no way you can cross out something you've accomplished. You got to keep that on the list so you can see what but then other people are.
Okay.
No, I'm just
This is my favorite thing about the new checklist. You can just assign that one task. I don't know if you're in my. I'll assign to Ellen. She's my always willing. And I'm gonna say, Ellen, you gotta have this done by Friday. No questions asked. Assign as a task. So now, that's Ellen's job. I have to share this doc with her. I'm not gonna share it with her, but it's so nice for teamwork and for like workflows. It's just so handy.
There are those people that will not do things or will not respond unless things have been assigned. And they're like, oh, yeah, I answered you in my head, right? Just the assign button is just a miracle.
I answered you and forgot to tell you. I forgot to tell you my answer. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of app smashing there between Keep and Docs, but there's a ton. Actually, I know we have time, so I'm going to show you. You can also insert a building block for meeting notes in Google Docs now.
Yeah.
And you can attach it to calendar events. So the people who are going to the calendar event are automatically added to the doc. It's just saves so many clicks. It doesn't save a significant amount of time, but it really saves a lot of clicks. Okay, so I have shown you sharing, I've shown you checklists, and I've shown you converting to docs. I want to give you a few minutes now to try that out. So you can ignore Darren and I. And go to Keep, try it on your phone, try it on your computer, and make a note. You are more than welcome to share your note with me, and I will endeavor to add something to everybody's notes. If you have a friend in the session already, you can definitely invite them to share as well. And you can check out the collaboration features. You'll be surprised at how immediate it is. Let's take a minute or two for that, and then we'll move into sort of how this functions with mobile devices too.
Sorry, what? With all the...
Sorry, what's that? With our mobile devices.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you were going to talk, I didn't see in your slides about where it is on that sidebar in everything. Like when you go to your mail, that's later on. Yeah,
that's later on. Definitely get there.
Cool. I mean, there are certain things. I wish they would. Honestly, are we allowed to say things about Google? I wish they would get rid of tasks. Just make tasks keep notes. Like I wish they would just smush them together. They really want us to use tasks, but I really want us to use keep notes. So yeah, but it's not the first kind of.
I use tasks on my calendar. That's my like. I need to do this today, and that's how I keep tasks and keeps.
Yeah.
I love tasks for my staff, like assigning them when there's something due. If we're in a meeting, like I love that feature you just showed, really. Like,
yeah. I just wish they were all one thing that just did all the stuff. I don't want tasks and reminders and keep. I just want Google schmurschmer that does all.
Yeah. I could see it coming though.
Maybe. I use keep so often. I use it really often for the voice transcribing though. Like if I have about 18 song ideas on my front page of Keep where I've recorded and it transcribes. Look at all those pictures ready for a text grab.
Okay, I don't think anybody shared a note with me yet. I should check my email. So, internet refresh. School decided to pause. Oh, okay, here we are. We're back.
Boom.
Perfect nap time, Kendall. I'm going to really tell him that was great. All right, if you already want, give us thumbs up. No pressure. I'll wait till I see more than 1 or 2 thumbs up in the chat in the meet. No pressure though. Thanks, Cindy. I know this is a fun one to play with because now you're like, okay, groceries. Thank you.
It's not just a grocery app. However,
I promise I'll move away from the grocery example.
no, I mean, I use that daily. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I use it a lot when I was camping, like with friends and stuff. Like, okay, we don't all need to bring a bottle of ketchup. Let's bring one bottle of ketchup.
and then just uncheck
Yeah.
all when you're done with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about that feature. Great. If you're ready, come back to me, give me a thumbs up. I will show you the uncheck all button. Perfect. All right. So like Darren just reminded me of, there's lots of times where you'll have lists that you need to reiterate often, packing lists, workflow lists. When I collab with teachers, there's a certain specific order of things that need to happen before I can get, well, not before I can get into their classroom, but before I like to get into their classroom. So I don't need to repeat that work all the time. What I can do, so this was our session jobs. Maybe Darren and I are doing now another one that's more specific to a different division. The checklists are all completed. We finished all of our work for this, but now I want to redo this list. I can just click the three dots and uncheck all items, and then that list is ready for us to start fresh again. So rather than us, like, okay, duplicate, or like I'll copy and paste all of these, kind of a pain in the butt, I can just go uncheck all boxes, and then we'll be able to start fresh all over again. So super duper handy. So that's like those, new student onboardings. Like I need to make sure that they're able to log into Classroom. I need to make sure that they have their science textbook. I need to make sure that they know what my marking procedure is. So there's tons of these things that we do often that we don't need to repeat because we can just uncheck. Report card workflows. We just finished that. I need to have all my passy boxes checked. I need to have all of my assessments marked. I need to send my comments to my principal. It's all these things.
The links to the things too, like in there, throwing your links to the sessions, throwing your links to whatever resource you have. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's awesome. Okay, Darren, do you have anything to add? I'm just going to turn on my AirPlay here. So
turning on AirPlay. No, I'm just going to say that like you can create these with students, right? Project checklists and instructions, all that stuff. Half of the new computer science in grade 1 to 6 is like instructions, following instructions, creating instructions creatively, and workflow.
Totally.
Like a lot of it is at the design process. So do students have something to keep track of their lives? No, they should.
I never even thought about that.
It's for teachers, right? It's for students and their workflow. Students don't generally have a workflow, right? Unless we explicitly remind them of a workflow. So it's great for that.
That was a really big like light bulb moment for me in my early years of being a teacher all those years ago. Was my students were using my workflows, which were not efficient in their own work. And I'd be like, why are you doing that? That's so inefficient. They'd be like, I want to say that's what you do. Oh, I need to work on this. So yeah, that's why I'm a Google super user now, because Google keeps me organized and on top of my life. All right, I am sharing my phone to you now. Keep is a app. This is what it looks like. And you can see it just refreshed, and I have all of my beautiful notes that Darren and I were just working on. But there are some tools that are really specific to the app that are important to note. So the first is creating a note from voice. So you can choose the plus button. This plus button exists across all Google tools. And then again, there's a little tiny plus button. I can't really zoom it on here, but there's a little tiny plus button that gives us some other options. It's just at the bottom there. Okay, I can choose recording, and it will record a voice memo. Talk to Don about interventions with his grade 3 students. Wrong Don, but that's okay. Okay, now this is really awesome because it's not only just recorded a voice memo, but it's also transcribed it. So I don't know about you, I'm not a musical ingenue like Darren, so I don't need to keep song ideas in my Google Keep. What I do need is somewhere for me to keep my brain so I don't overload myself. And I'm not going to go back and listen to it, but I will go back and read it. So if I go back here, this is now just like a regular note, but when I click on it, it also has my voice. I don't know if it's playing for you guys. Maybe not. I'll go back here. Here is probably where you'll hear it. I'll just scroll down because I didn't pin it. Oh, internet. Oh, I love the, it's loading.
Are you on the wind-up internet down there in Prairieland? Is that up?
I got a bike fast. I don't know what's going on. All of the teenagers are playing Minecraft or something. Okay, here we go.
That's so funny. I was in a school where our teacher said, the Wi-Fi is terrible. And I went to, like, what's going on? So I asked Barry, our tech guy, and he's like, well, this one room is using the entire school's bandwidth, and 30 kids were using high def YouTube, using up the entire bandwidth of the school.
Okay, here it is.
Music
videos.
Oh gosh. Oh, you got one from Cindy. Awesome.
Well, okay, imagine me
Still
saying, talk to Don about intervention of those grade 3 students, and that's what it is. Okay, now, if you are a musical ingenue like Darren will take, and you're like, I need this audio file, you can also download it as an MP4 so that it can exist in more places than just your Keep.
I never knew.
Yeah, this download audio button right here. So then maybe you could take your beautiful little music, and not your beautiful little music, your beautiful masterpiece, put it into some music editor, and then be like Charlie Puth and create this amazing music. Okay. Sticky note culture is alive and well in my world. When I was working in the classroom, I worked more closely with our junior high team. I'm going to share my phone with you again. And we would have stand-ups at the end of every day. And we would set once a week. Hello. Once a week, we would set our good news calls. Who's going to call who? Super good cultural practice for our junior high students, but very hard to manage. And we did stand up, so nobody was bringing their computer. We often all had our phones in our pockets, but we were sticky note culture. What you can do, though, is I have this sticky note that I want Darren and Jamie to see. I can choose that plus button, and I can take a photo. So I will get my camera app, the news calls. I can use the photo. I'm going to title it Good News Calls November 13th. I'm going to add a collaborator. I just click that 3 dots when I'm on my phone, 3 dots. Collaborators, Darren, and there we go. Oh, can't see. Check mark. And now, if I go back to my Keep app, you can see my good news calls like right there. But that's not where the thing is. So I just showed you the checklist magic. I can now click the 3 dots, grab image text, And now my sticky note, Justine, Lynn, Noah, Patrick, and Sarah, are now living in my Keep. And now I'm going to show my checkboxes. And this is now a checkbox. So we're working collaboratively on who's calling who. So maybe I'm going to say, like, I'm going to call Justine, Sharon, Jamie will call Lynn's family, and Darren will call Noah's family. So I'm editing this sticky note, and we're collaborating now on who's doing what. So these kinds of things that sort of start analog and then move digital, there's a lot of potential here for creating ease of workflow in our busy lives as teachers. Anything to add, Darren?
It just makes me realize how bad my writing is, and it can still do a pretty good job. It was able to recognize an entire page of like set lists, songs that I had scrolled.
And you know, I'm thinking about this workflow is one that we did do, and how often we would look back and be like, oh, we phoned Justine's parents 4 weeks ago. We need to phone somebody else. And like, we need a new, oh, we haven't phoned Andrew's parents yet. We need to phone Andrew's parents and have a good news call with them. So yeah, super easy to like fold back and check out your archive. Your set list, Darren, if you're like, oh, I've already played, I played this almost exact same set list here last week. I need to switch up this and this. Gives you like that handy archive without having stacks and stacks of paper everywhere.
I also like it for books. If you were to take if you have a chapter book and you're reading it for a paper and you take a picture of it, something, it could take that whole paragraph. It converts it to text instantly, throw it in a doc without having to read.
Let me show you that right now, because
sorry, did I lead into what you were going to do?
You did. It was a perfect segue. Amazing. It's like we were born to do this. Okay. Screen mirroring. Here we go. Okay, I'm back in my Keep. I'm working on my master's right now, and I hate reading digitally, but I cannot keep track of my thinking on paper. Like I would have 14 reams of paper made already. So what I have been doing is taking pictures of my readings. So here we go. I'm just this conclusion of this chapter that I was actually reading this week. I'm just going to take the photo. Now, here's the really cool thing. I can use this photo, but if I click on it, I also have the option to mark it up. So I want Redeem Sims Bishops, they're using glass doors in a new way, for example, in this. This is what I want to remember from this chapter. Okay, that's all well and good.
Is that a metaphor?
The sliding glass doors, yes, it's a beautiful metaphor. Any English teachers can come to my aid here. Chat about this beautiful work. So this is fine, I've highlighted it, but wouldn't it be more interesting if I could go back here? Oops. Hello. I could grab that image text, because it now lives as actual text. And I could say, this is the stuff that matters to me. And I can copy and paste that into an ongoing Google Doc. I could copy and paste it into a Google Keep file that I'm keeping for my notes for this paper I'm writing. It could just live here as like, okay, this is something I need to paraphrase for my paper, and it's living here. I could use labels for that. Like, this is maybe paraphrase, and that's something that I need to paraphrase for my writing. There's so many possibilities of taking this huge chunk of text, and rather than spending all of the effort in transcribing it, I can just use Keep to move it into text. I also use this in my student writing. My kids wrote every day in their journals, and I prefer that they wrote by hand. But lots of times I would ask them to revise their writing. So we would just use Google Keep to take a picture of their journal. And some of them learned that they had to take more time when they were handwriting. But we'd use Google Keep to take a picture of their journal, and then they'd grab that text, transfer it over to a Google Doc, and then they had their work that was ready to advised. So super, super good tool for students to use as well. Okay, one more thing I wanted to show you before. Actually, two things I think I'll be able to squeeze into the last 9 minutes. So Keep also lives in Gmail. If my Gmail ever loads, Keep also lives in Gmail. And the thing that I find with, oh, Cindy, I didn't comment on your note. Sorry, Emma. Oh, no. The thing that I find with these Google tools is oftentimes I forget about them. Somebody mentioned earlier, like, oh, I heard about it when I was Keep actually, so sent me an email that I need to do something with. Ask us about the rollout, move on to phase 2. Very serious business type email. I can just click on Keep here. I can take a note. Now, I can copy and paste this over here, just like I would with regular Keep. Grammarly, get out of my way. And enter. Now, the very cool thing about this is I'm done. It's a little bit of an ugly note, but that's okay. Going back to Google Keep, we know that it is updated automatically. There is now a tag, and this tag takes me right back to Darren's email. So if it's like, if we had an email chain about this, I know that I needed to do this, but I need to look back at what started it. It all lives in that email that Darren sent me that's taking forever to load. That hopefully will give you a good idea of how you can integrate it into your Keep. So, you know, if maybe a parent sends you an email, hey, I just took Aaron to the eye doctor and he's getting new glasses, but in the interim, can you make sure that he is sitting closer to the front? I can pull that in to my Keep just to keep it as a reminder. I need to make sure Aaron's sitting closer to the front. And then I have that link to the email, so it's not like ungrounded. Like, why are you doing this with Aaron all of a sudden? It's linked right to the email address or email that initiated that one. So that is how you could keep in the forefront, just with a little tab button. And we were talking a little bit about tasks. Tasks lives right there as well, along with your calendar. So these are super helpful workflows. This is how my email looks all of the time, with calendar open right next to it, because then I know I can add things in, or I can't fit things in because the calendar is living right there. Darren, anything to add?
That side panel is great.
Yeah, I love it. So helpful.
I do it all the time.
Okay. I do also want to show you the Google Keep extension. Maybe let me go to.
I don't use the extension, to be honest, Bailey, but.
Well, I haven't used it a ton, but I just experimented with it yesterday, and it's pretty handy. Okay, so the extension is obviously on the Chrome store, and it lives up with your extensions in the top here. So let's say you want to add the slides for today to a Google Note, Google Keep. If I click the Save to Keep button, it's just a pop-up, and I can say slides from the best Google Keep session I have ever seen. Wow. Create note. You can also tag it. Maybe I'm going to tag it as ideas. Create note. Now, if I go back to my Keep, let's go to my ideas tag. There is my note with the URL living right there. So I can just access it easy peasy. So no copying and pasting. I'm doing a ton of like resource identifying for teachers right now. And I can see this being a good like initial workflow for me of like keep. And then like, okay, what do I need to polish up here to make it a little bit more digestible for teachers? Darren, did you want to talk about custom headers at all? Do you have any experience with that?
I don't use them. I'm like you. I try to keep it fairly simple. Even the images, I don't like to have things.
So I have used them in the past. You can see this one here. What I did was I had my kind of like big reason. So I had like a planning, I had a marking one, I had my ideas one, I had one for the English Language Arts Council, and they each had their own graphic, and then they were all pinned so that I could differentiate. But that was before Google Keep had the images, and I think that would help me differentiate a little bit more. But if we go here, there's on Canva, I love app flashing, and Canva has a ton of really beautiful headers that if you're sharing, and if it's like a workflow thing and maybe you want it to look a little bit more professional, there's tons of options. I also have, this slide is linked to a blog post. Oh no, it's linked right to the Keep images. This is just templates on Google Slides to update your images, and then you can download it. And then when you add an image to the slide, it actually adds it as, like, this is just an embedded image. So all I did was choose this add image button, and then that added the image to my slide. Okay, somehow I have lost you. Okay, here we are. I'm back.
I love how transparent you are, Bailey. It's so great.
Okay. Google Keep has a ton of support in the help forum. All of the Google tools are there, and it's actually really well written, simple language help. So it's always a good place to stop for some extra support. Logix has some really cool stuff coming up that I would love to share with you in just 1 minute. We're doing this really cool coding across the curriculum series. It's happening all through the year. It's building in CS first, and this has Googlers in it, right, Darren? There's Googlers in these sessions.
There's all kinds of cool guests and activities and
live with your students. So if you're interested in bringing some of those new science curriculum outcomes forward, this computer science curriculum outcomes forward, but have a big learning curve for yourself, this is an awesome first step. And they're so easy to register for and have kids engage in really cool learning. There's also a really good teacher day of like learning coding from the teacher lens, if that's your like, I want to cover this off with a new curriculum, perfect way to engage in some really awesome learning. And then finally, Computer Science Ed Week is coming up at the beginning of next month, right? Beginning of next month.
December 4th, I think, is the start of computer.
And Logix has partnered with Google this year to provide a ton of awesome computer science sessions. They're happening all through the week during the day. So those are also coming into your classroom with these awesome, phenomenal, accomplished presenters. Definitely worth checking out and registering your students in. Thank you. Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Darren. Thank you all for your thumbs up in the chat. I think that Darren has a feedback link for you that we would love to have some feedback from you I'm happy to stick around if anybody has any last minute questions, but I hope that you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, I legit use it, so
yeah.